It's Thursday, January 28th, 2016, and it's time for me to tell you what I liked. In the news this week, that is. First up, somewhat interesting, kind of lighthearted news here. Don't know how many of you guys use Snapchat. I use it occasionally, more for watching things than for actually contributing. But I do have a Snapchat. You can see the little link right here. However, as opposed to having to scan that little thing if you're watching on your phone, for example, Snapchat has added in the ability to add friends with a link. So there will be a link down in the video description you can click on. You can go over to Snapchat and add me if you want to. I occasionally post pictures of babies and whatever new filter comes out, I usually play with and make video of. Yeah. I normally don't cover rumors and whatnot, but I did see there were several stories, and actually I think most of them came from Techno Buffalo, but all the major tech sites were covering it. Supposedly Apple is going to be releasing a new iPhone in March. Normally they only do those in September at their big event, but they're calling it the 5e or the 5SE or the 4LMNOP, I don't know. But they're saying it's going to be in the neighborhood of $400 to $500 instead of, oh my god, all of the monies. And actually, depending on the article you read, people are saying it's going to have either the A8 or the A9 processor in it, which is, if I remember correctly, in the neighborhood of the iPhone 6 / iPhone 6s potentially, but probably with a camera from a much older iPhone like the iPhone 5 or 5s. Again, there's nothing really solid about any of that. I just thought it was kind of interesting. As a person who owned an iPhone in the past and has been mainly Android for the last lots of years now, having an iPhone that's coming in at $400 or $500, if it were available in the US, might make me consider picking one up. Continuing to move onward, because that's what we do. There's a company called Aereo I've heard about in the past. They were offering free over-the-air TV in select cities and select areas, and then I think it was the FCC cracked down on them and said, you can't do that, that's illegal. But they made some money from doing it, and they're now starting up a new startup, as it were, promising to put gigabit internet in your home, not over fiber, but over wireless. And they're proposing to do it with this new wireless hub they've created called Starry. And when I do this, I have the stories in front of me, so just reading through some of the story here. Starry is a questionably ambitious idea. They want to deliver extremely high-speed internet over the air using millimeter waves, which don't travel very far and aren't very good at penetrating obstacles. That's a little suspicious there. If I can get gigabit in my home, I really don't care. But I don't live in a major city, so I don't see that happening anytime soon, unfortunately. Back to my slow broadband. Taking a step back to my childhood, or to my earlier years, there were a lot of times when I was a little kid that I wanted what essentially became Heelys. I wanted a way to have a wheel in the heel of my shoe. And it looks like Razer, the company that makes the little scooters, is gonna attempt to make that happen. I know there have been other things like Acton has rocket skates, which are these powered skates you attach to your shoes and you kind of wear them like little powered boots. But these are kind of like I said, Heelys. You get these two wheels you just strap to your shoe, and then you take off walking or running, and you lean back, and zoom, you go. Or you fall. In my case, you fall. Now, the bad thing here is it does say it's for any grown-up weighing less than 176 pounds. So keep that in mind. If you were thinking about this, they call them the Razer Jet, and they're going to be $40 for a pair, which realistically is not a terribly high price. I may actually have to think about that. I don't need it, but I want it. Earlier this week, GoPro made the announcement that the Hero 4, at least the Hero 4 Black and Silver editions, can now stream live to Periscope. Bit of a bummer as a person who owns the Hero 4 Session, although I will say, if I were going to be streaming, I would actually want to be able to see the live chat at the same time, so not really that big of a deal in my opinion. Oh wait, no, the article says that all you have to do is have the GoPro in an iPhone 5S or above. It's only available on iOS, so never mind. If you're an Android user, ain't gonna work for you just yet. And of course it would do the Periscope streaming using the app on the iOS device, so you would be able to see the live chat, so that's not a bad option. If you want to be able to have your camera and move it around and put it at different angles and everything, I could see that being really cool. I can't see the justification for buying a Hero 4 Black or Silver to do so, but if you do have one and you want to do live streaming and your camera and your phone is a potato, yeah. Moving on to some drone stories, there was a story about a drone that can fly, float, and dive underwater. As a person who owns a drone that's right up there that can fly and hit the water and kind of go under and survive, this sounds like a logical step forward. I saw something in the article or in the comments about how they need to make it man-sized. I could see that being cool, but I can say the same thing about just having any sort of drone that would be man-sized. Like we talked about in one of the earliest episodes of this, having a flying quadcopter that can carry a person or multiple people would be amazing. And the other story, actually my friend Nick mentioned to me, they're working on a drone racing league, sort of in the same vein as eSports, competitive gaming, things like that. Now they're working on having a competitive league where you pull out your FPV and your racing quadcopters and you fly through courses. There was actually an article last week that I was going to be talking about, but I ended up cutting it out for time, about a first-person view from a drone flying through this neon illuminated course, and apparently that is a part of this drone racing league. So if you're a quadcopter pilot and you're interested in something like that, of course you can check out the link down below. Moving on, there were a couple of Kickstarters I saw pop up that were very interesting to me. The first one, as you probably realize I am a Pebble Time owner. You may not realize that. If you don't, I did make a video unboxing this. I got it from Kickstarter. I'll put a link to that down below, and I'll also have a card. But TYLT, a company that makes a lot of batteries and backpacks and accessories, essentially, has come up with an accessory for the Pebble Time. There's a port on the back of the Pebble Time you use for charging. Well, they're taking advantage of that port with pogo pins, throwing in a heart rate sensor and wireless Qi charging, and it just fits around here and adds a little bit of thickness to the Pebble Time. And you can even add a special band that they're going to provide along with it. I actually jumped in on the Kickstarter today. I think it was $39 or $34 or something, but the one with the band is $50 right now, or it was earlier. May be sold out at this point. So if you do have the Pebble Time and you're interested in having wireless charging and a heart rate monitor built in that can integrate with Pebble Health and Google Fit and iOS, whatever Apple does, that's not a bad price, realistically. The other one that I found really interesting was floating bonsai trees. They've effectively taken the idea behind the magnetically hovering speaker and put it into a bonsai tree. If I remember correctly, I looked on the site and it was something like $200 just for the stuff to make it happen. And if you're in the US or in certain places where they're not allowed to import the trees, you get just the stuff to make it happen. You don't actually get a tree. You'd have to provide your own local plant, is what they said. Still a really cool concept, and nice to see more of this maglev type stuff happening. There were also a couple of really interesting deals I saw. Of course, the Google Nexus 6P and Nexus 5X both got $50 discounts. Looks like the Nexus 6P Gold got a discount at Best Buy. So the 32 gig version is $449.99, 64 gig is $499.99. So if you want that sweet gold Nexus 6P, head on over to Best Buy. And the Nexus 5X is now $299 at Google Play as well as Amazon. I'll have the link to Amazon because affiliate link, and if you want to buy one, it supports the channel, I would definitely love you for it. And speaking of Google Play though, they have brought back the 75% off a movie rental, so if you've been wanting to have a movie night, there's a whole list of movies you can get for 75% off. Although, if you have a Chromecast, make sure to check the Chromecast offers because there were a couple of free movie rentals through that, completely free. I actually just used one to rent The Martian, which I haven't had a chance to watch yet, but I have it rented, I'm ready. But if you have used all of those up or you don't have a Chromecast, 75% off, that's a whole lot more reasonable than like $5 for a rental. And a couple of things left. There were a couple of VR stories I found interesting. Techno Buffalo had an article about 3 amazing demos of the HoloLens, Microsoft's VR headset thing. Of the demos they mentioned on there, the one that really caught my attention was called Holo Studio, which allows you to create 3D objects that you can print out or you can share them online. As a person who does some 3D printing stuff, having that kind of technology wireless built into a headset that you could interact with your hands and stuff, that sounds amazing. And the very last story, there's an app that's been created for the Oculus Rift called Quill that's a painting artist type app that sounds really interesting. Not sure if you saw it or not, but earlier this week I did a live hangout on air with the people from AltSpace VR. I also a while back made a video about AltSpace VR, and after making that video they sent me an Oculus Rift DK2 to test out and to test while in AltSpace. So I did a live stream while in AltSpace, while talking to the people in AltSpace VR. It was a very much a meta experience, but being in that same vein, I'm gonna have to take a look at this Quill application because it looks very, very cool. The whole concept of doing things like that in a VR space is just amazing to me. I've seen people doing it with the HTC Vive, using the sticks and painting in the air and everything. Just looks like so much fun, but again, no HTC Vive here. But you know what? That is the very last story that I have for you guys today. Let me know what you liked down in the comment section below, if there's any stories that I missed, if there's anything awesome that I should be looking at. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for your support. I'm glad you guys are liking this series. Remember to hit the thumbs up button if you liked this video. Subscribe to my channel to receive more videos when they become available. And we'll see you again next time. A little bit difficult to actually get it to fit up in those little pogo pins. It's just sort of learning how to do it and getting it to work consistently that I've had problems with. But actually, once you get it in there, there's a very nice charging animation they've added.